Lifestyle Live. Come and see, you'll agree. There's a positive energy. Lifestyle Live.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Lifestyle Live Podcast.
Faces you know and a team you can trust. Stories that form your heart. Lifestyle Live. Lifestyle Live. Lifestyle Live.
Welcome back, folks. We are thrilled this morning to have author Jan Mitchell with us. She is the author of two suddenly single anthologies, if you will, stemming from the journey that began when she became a widow. She has become something of an expert on the topic of navigating grief, while, as she puts it, colliding with purpose. And Jan, thanks for coming in this morning. Let's start by talking about what happened to your husband.
Sure, absolutely. And thank you for having me here. It's such a great opportunity. So my husband, Stephen Mitchell, passed away in 2017. He was a minister, actually, at our church, was coming home one day from prison ministry and had an epileptic seizure. He actually battled with lupus for a stint of his life, and that caused him to have epileptic seizures and so forth. However, most times his seizures would happen in bedtime. So for it to have happened in the daytime when he was actively moving around was unusual. And he made sure he took care of his medication regimen. Everything was well, but he just had breakthrough seizures. And one day, coming home from doing prison ministry work, he had a seizure while he was walking in, fell, and hit his head into the wall. And it actually ended up breaking his neck in 3 places. So instantly it paralyzed him, and he ended up in one of the local hospitals here. He flatlined 4 times during the first 30 days of his hospitalization, but by our faith and just by a miracle, he was able to live through that, and he lived for 5.5 months. We saw miraculous improvements in his health, but then things took a turn when he became septic in the hospital system.
So when you lose your soulmate, you can really go one of 2 ways. You can either move forward or just remain devastated.
Yes.
How was it that you were able to move forward?
Yes, quite honestly, my faith and having a great support system. I will encourage anyone at any time, if you ever go through anything like that, grief is not something you do on your own. You definitely need a community surrounding you. I still had my girls, my beautiful daughters to live for. I knew I had much more, and I've seen people in many cases where they would get almost rooted or planted in grief, and I decided that was not what I wanted for my life, because I knew I still had to live. And matter of fact, it would have honored him, and it is honoring him, that I have chosen to heal and live.
And tell me about the decision to start chronicling the story in the form of books.
That's actually quite interesting, because I had not originally thought about writing. It was far off my radar, but I met these wonderful ladies. The pandemic, while it was devastating, it actually brought out some new gems, so to speak, and met a group of these amazing ladies from across the world. This lady, Coach Venus Chandler, was one. She is the original visionary for the Suddenly Single anthology. We met from all across the world through Facebook. Never met these ladies in my life until last year, and we came together. So actually the first book is an anthology written with 5 other beautiful ladies, and then as a spinoff, they said, well, we are getting a lot of demand because the first book dealt with divorce. I was the only widow in that book.
I see.
And so there was then the secondary push for the books for the widows, and therefore Suddenly Single, Navigating Grief While Colliding with Purpose came into light.
So what advice do you have for somebody who has suddenly lost a spouse in terms of being able to move forward?
Yes, I often say it's okay to move forward, that you're not forgetting that person, because I think a lot of times people feel that guilt. They feel like if I do move on with my life, it means I no longer love this person or I have to forget about them. That's not true. They'll always have a place in your heart, but it's more life honoring when you are making that decision to move forward, because that actually brings them more honor than you to sit back and die in your own grief. Because we know complicated grief, cardiomyopathy, otherwise known as the broken heart syndrome, is real. And so, but that's not life honoring to your late spouse or late loved one when you allow yourself to erode, for a lack of a better term.
She is Jan Mitchell. We have put a link at lifestylelive.tv so you can purchase the book.
Lifestyle Live. Lifestyle Live.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Lifestyle Live Podcast. Thank you for listening. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And connect for even more on Facebook and at lifestylelive.tv.
Faces you know and a team you can trust. Stories that form your heart.